Have you ever noticed how the loudest person in the room is rarely the most valuable? How those who constantly need to announce their worth often reveal their insecurity instead? There's something profoundly powerful about people who don't need to speak about their value because their actions scream it. Today, we're diving into the ancient Stoic art of proving your worth through silence, through presence, through undeniable action. This isn't about being passive or invisible. It's about becoming so undeniably valuable that words become unnecessary. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, wrote in his private journal, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Think about that for a moment. The Emperor of Rome, with all the power in the world to proclaim his greatness, chose instead to simply embody it. He understood something that most people miss entirely. Your value isn't determined by what you say about yourself, but by what you consistently do when no one's watching. We live in a world obsessed with self-promotion. Social media has turned everyone into their own marketing department. People spend more time crafting the perfect caption about their accomplishments than actually accomplishing anything meaningful. And here's the brutal truth: the more you have to tell people how valuable you are, the less they believe it. But what if there was another way? What if you could become so valuable, so undeniable, so essential, that people naturally gravitated toward you without you ever having to sell yourself? What if your presence alone communicated more than 1,000 words ever could? This is the path the Stoics walked. Epictetus was a slave who became one of the most influential philosophers in history, not by proclaiming his wisdom, but by living it so completely that people couldn't help but notice. Seneca advised emperors not because he lobbied for the position, but because his wisdom made him indispensable. Marcus Aurelius became known as the philosopher king, not through self-promotion, but through consistent, virtuous action. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to do the same. How to prove your value without saying a word. How to become the person everyone wants on their team, in their life, in their corner. How to build a reputation so solid that it speaks for itself. This isn't manipulation or strategy. It's about becoming genuinely valuable and letting that value shine through everything you do. Part 1. Master your craft in silence. The first and most fundamental way to prove your value without words is to become undeniably excellent at what you do. Not good, not pretty good. Excellent. The kind of excellent that makes people stop and take notice even when you're not trying to get their attention. The Stoics believed in what they called ergon, your function or work in the world. They taught that excellence in your craft wasn't just about professional success. It was a moral imperative. It was your duty to develop your abilities to their fullest potential. When you're mediocre at what you do, you're not just failing yourself. You're failing everyone who might benefit from your excellence. Here's what most people get wrong. They think they can talk their way into being perceived as valuable. They focus on networking, on personal branding, on making sure everyone knows about the work they're doing. But here's the reality. All of that becomes irrelevant when your work speaks for itself. Think about someone you know who is genuinely excellent at what they do, someone whose work is so good that people naturally talk about them. Do they have to announce their value? No. Their results do it for them. Their consistency does it for them. The standards they hold themselves to do it for them. This is where you start. Not with a marketing campaign for yourself, but with an honest assessment. Am I genuinely excellent at what I do? Not compared to the worst people in my field, but compared to the best. Am I putting in the work that excellence requires, or am I putting in just enough to get by? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do every act of your life as though it were the very last act of your life." This wasn't about dramatic gestures. It was about quality, about bringing your full attention and capability to everything you do. About refusing to do half-assed work even when no one's watching. Here's the practice. For the next 30 days, Commit to silent excellence. Stop talking about what you're going to do, what you're working on, how hard you're trying. Just do the work at the highest level you're capable of. Show up early, stay late, pay attention to details others miss, deliver more than expected. Do it all without announcement or fanfare. Watch what happens. People will notice. They always notice excellence, even when it's quiet. Especially when it's quiet, because excellence that doesn't need to announce itself is rare and powerful. It commands respect in a way that self-promotion never can. The key here is consistency. Anyone can have one good day, one excellent project, one moment of brilliance. But can you deliver that level of quality day after day, week after week, month after month? That's where real value is built, in the relentless consistency of excellent work. And here's something crucial. This isn't about perfection. The Stoics weren't interested in impossible standards. They were interested in effort, in showing up, in constantly working to improve. Your craft is something you master over time, not overnight. But the commitment to mastering it, that can start right now. Part 2. Be reliable when others aren't. If you want to prove your value without saying a word, become the person people can count on. In a world where flakiness is the norm, reliability becomes a superpower. It's not flashy, it's not exciting, but it's absolutely invaluable. Epictetus taught that our character is built through our choices, particularly our choice to honor our commitments. Every time you say you'll do something and then actually do it, you're making a deposit in your reputation bank. Every time you break a commitment, you're making a withdrawal. Most people are terrible at this. They overcommit. They make promises they don't keep. They show up late, deliver incomplete work, or don't show up at all. They always have excuses. Life got in the way, something came up, they forgot. And you know what? Those excuses might even be legitimate, but they still damage trust. Here's what the Stoics understood. Reliability isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest with yourself about what you can actually deliver and then delivering it. It's better to underpromise and overdeliver than to make big commitments you can't keep. Think about the most valuable people in your life. Aren't they the ones you can count on? The ones who show up when they say they will, do what they say they'll do, and don't require constant follow-up. That's not coincidence. Reliability is one of the most valuable traits a person can have. Start here. For the next week, don't make any commitments you're not absolutely certain you can keep. Before you say yes to anything, pause. Ask yourself, can I actually deliver this? Do I have the time, energy, and resources to follow through? If there's any doubt, say no or negotiate terms you can actually meet. Then, when you do commit, move heaven and earth to deliver. Be early. Be thorough. Be complete. Don't make people chase you. Don't make excuses. Just do what you said you would do when you said you would do it at the level you implied you would do it. This alone will put you in the top 10% of people, because most people simply aren't reliable. They mean well, but meaning well doesn't build trust. Consistent action builds trust, and trust is the foundation of value. Marcus Aurelius faced constant crises as emperor, wars, plagues, betrayals, natural disasters. Yet he was known for his steady reliability. People knew that when Marcus gave his word, it was solid. This wasn't about grand gestures. It was about daily, consistent follow-through on commitments large and small. Here's something powerful. Reliability compounds. The first time you're reliable, people notice but remain cautious. Maybe it was luck. But the second time, third time, 10th time you deliver. Now you're building a reputation. Now people start to seek you out. Now your value becomes obvious without you ever having to state it. And here's the beautiful part. Being reliable reduces stress. When you only commit to what you can actually deliver, you're not constantly scrambling, making excuses, or dealing with the anxiety of broken promises. You can relax into your work, knowing that you've set yourself up to succeed. Part 3. Solve problems without being asked. Want to know the fastest way to become invaluable? See what needs to be done and do it before anyone has to ask. This is proactive value creation, and it's how you become the person everyone wants on their team. The Stoics taught that we should focus our energy on what's within our control and what benefits the common good. Solving problems without being asked embodies both principles. You're taking initiative within your control and creating value for others. Common good. Most people operate reactively. They wait to be told what to do, then they do the minimum required. They see problems and think, that's not my job, or someone else will handle it. This reactive mindset keeps them ordinary, replaceable, forgettable. But extraordinary people, they see a problem and think, how can I fix this? They notice what's missing and fill the gap. They anticipate needs before they become urgent. They take ownership, not just of their assigned responsibilities, but of the overall success of whatever they're part of. Let me be clear, this isn't about being a doormat or doing everyone else's work. It's about strategic value creation. It's about identifying high-impact problems that you're uniquely positioned to solve and solving them excellently. Here's what this looks like in practice. You're in a meeting and notice that there's confusion about next steps. Instead of waiting for someone else to clarify, you summarize the decisions made and send a follow-up email to everyone. You're on a team project and realize there's a gap that could cause problems later. You quietly fill that gap before it becomes a crisis. You notice your colleague is overwhelmed. You offer specific help with specific tasks, then actually deliver that help. These aren't flashy actions. They're not the kind of thing you'd brag about on social media, but they're the kind of thing people remember. They're the kind of thing that makes you indispensable. Seneca wrote about the importance of being useful, of contributing value wherever you are. He wasn't talking about grand gestures or dramatic interventions. He was talking about the daily practice of seeing what needs to be done and doing it with excellence. The key is to do this consistently and without keeping score. Don't solve problems because you want credit. Solve them because solving them is the right thing to do and because it creates value. The credit will come, but it comes more powerfully when you're not seeking it. Watch what happens when you adopt this mindset. People start to see you differently. You become known as someone who just handles things. You become the person managers want to promote because they trust you'll see what needs to be done. You become the person colleagues want to work with because you make their lives easier. And here's the beautiful irony. The more you prove your value through action rather than words, the more people will speak your value for you. They'll tell others about you. They'll recommend you. Your reputation will grow not because you built it, but because others built it for you through their observations of your consistent value creation. Part 4. Maintain composure in chaos. Few things communicate value more powerfully than remaining calm and focused when everyone else is panicking. Composure under pressure isn't just impressive, it's invaluable. It makes you the person others turn to when things get difficult. This was perhaps the most fundamental Stoic practice. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca all taught that we cannot control external events, but we can always control our response. They practiced maintaining equanimity regardless of circumstances, not because they were emotionally dead, but because they understood that panic and emotional reactivity don't solve problems. Think about crisis situations you've witnessed. Who emerged as valuable? Not the person screaming about how terrible everything is. Not the person blaming others or making excuses. It's the person who stayed calm, assessed the situation clearly, and focused on solutions. This doesn't mean suppressing your emotions or pretending problems don't exist. It means processing your emotional response internally while externally remaining focused and effective. It means being the anchor when the storm hits. Here's how to develop this capacity. First, practice daily. You don't build composure in crisis by waiting for crises. You build it through small daily practices. When something minor goes wrong, notice your reaction. Are you immediately frustrated, angry, anxious? Can you pause, breathe, and respond thoughtfully instead? Second, reframe challenges. The Stoics called this turning obstacles into opportunities. When something goes wrong, instead of "this is terrible," try "this is interesting. How do I navigate this?" This simple reframe shifts you from victim to problem solver. Third, focus on what you can control. In any difficult situation, there are things you can influence and things you cannot. Wasting energy on what you cannot control increases panic and decreases effectiveness. Channel all your energy into your sphere of control. Marcus Aurelius dealt with constant crises, wars on multiple fronts, a devastating plague, political intrigue, personal losses. Yet contemporaries described him as remarkably calm and focused. His secret, daily practice of these Stoic principles. He wrote his meditations not as a book for others, but as reminders to himself of how to maintain composure. When you maintain composure in chaos, several things happen. First, you can think more clearly. Panic clouds judgment. Calm enables clear analysis and better decisions. Second, you positively influence others. Emotions are contagious. Your calm can help others find their calm. Third, you become known as someone who can handle pressure. This reputation is extraordinarily valuable. Start practicing this today. The next time something goes wrong, big or small, pause before reacting. Take 3 deep breaths. Ask yourself, what's within my control? Here, what's the most effective response? Then act from that place of centered focus rather than emotional reaction. Over time, this becomes your default. You become known as unflappable, as the person who keeps their head when others lose theirs. This reputation speaks volumes about your value without you ever having to say a word. Part 5. Listen more than you speak. Here's a counterintuitive truth. One of the most powerful ways to prove your value is to shut up and listen. In a world where everyone's competing to be heard, the person who truly listens becomes rare and valuable. The Stoics, particularly Epictetus, emphasized the importance of listening. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This wasn't just about politeness, it was about wisdom, about understanding before responding, about making your words count because you've actually heard what needs to be said. Most people don't listen. They wait for their turn to talk. While you're speaking, they're formulating their response, thinking about their own stories, planning what they'll say next. They're present physically, but absent mentally. This is so common that when you actually listen, truly listen, you stand out dramatically. What does true listening look like? It means giving someone your full attention, not checking your phone, not looking around the room, not interrupting. It means asking clarifying questions. It means reflecting back what you've heard to ensure understanding. It means being genuinely curious about the other person's perspective, even if you disagree. When you listen this way, several things happen. First, you actually learn things. You gather information others miss because they're too busy talking. Second, you make people feel valued. Being truly heard is rare and precious. When you give that gift, people remember. Third, when you do speak, people listen, because you've earned the right to be heard by first listening yourself. Seneca wrote about the importance of learning from everyone we encounter, but you can't learn from people if you're not listening to them. Every person you meet knows something you don't, has experienced something you haven't, can teach you something if you're willing to listen. Here's the practice. In your next 5 conversations, set an intention to listen twice as much as you speak. Ask questions. Show genuine interest. Resist the urge to share your own stories or advice unless specifically asked. Just listen, really listen, and watch what happens. You'll notice something interesting. People will start seeking you out, not because you're giving great advice or saying brilliant things, but because you're giving them something even more valuable, your full attention and genuine interest. In doing this, you prove your value without ever having to announce it. Marcus Aurelius, despite being emperor, was known for listening to his advisors, his soldiers, even common citizens. He understood that wisdom comes from remaining open to input from all sources. This quality made him not just a good leader, but a beloved one. Part 6. Add value to every interaction. Every interaction you have is an opportunity to deposit value or withdraw it. People who prove their worth without words are constantly making deposits, not in flashy ways, but in small, consistent ways that compound over time. This is about bringing positive energy and contribution to every situation you're in. It's about leaving people and situations better than you found them. It's about being a net positive wherever you go. What does this look like practically? In a meeting, you contribute ideas that move things forward rather than just talking to hear yourself speak. In a conversation, you share genuinely useful information or perspective rather than gossip or complaints. When you work with others, you make their job easier, not harder. When you leave a room, the energy is higher than when you entered. The Stoics called this contributing to the common good. They believed we're all part of a larger community and that our purpose is to contribute value to that community through our actions. This wasn't abstract philosophy. It was daily practice. Think about people you know who seem to drain energy versus those who add it. The energy drainers are constantly complaining, creating drama, making everything about themselves, complicating simple things. The energy adders are solving problems, lifting moods, helping others succeed, simplifying complexity. Which type becomes more valuable? Which type do people want on their team, in their life, in their space? The answer is obvious, yet most people don't consciously think about which type they're being. Here's your practice. For 1 week, consciously focus on adding value to every interaction. Before meetings, think about what useful contribution you can make. In conversations, think about what would be helpful to the other person. In every situation, ask yourself, how can I make this better? This doesn't mean being fake or doing things purely for perception. It means genuinely looking for ways to contribute positively. The most valuable people aren't the ones with the biggest titles or loudest voices. They're the ones who consistently make situations and people around them better. Seneca wrote about the importance of being useful to others, not out of obligation or expectation of return, but because contributing value is itself virtuous and fulfilling. When you operate from this mindset, you never have to announce your value. It's evident in every interaction. Part 7. Honor your word above all else. Your word is your bond. When you say you'll do something and you actually do it, you're building a reputation more valuable than gold. When you break your word, even for good reasons, you're destroying trust. Trust is the currency of value, and you build it or destroy it with every commitment you make or break. The ancient Stoics placed enormous emphasis on integrity, living in alignment with your values, doing what you say, being who you claim to be. This wasn't about moralistic posturing. It was about understanding that integrity is the foundation of everything else. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about the importance of being true to your word and your principles. He knew that as emperor, his word literally shaped reality for millions of people. But he also knew that, even for ordinary people, your word shapes your reality and your relationships. Think about someone you know whose word means nothing. They say they'll call and don't. They commit to deadlines they miss. They make promises they forget. How much do you trust them? How valuable do you consider them? Probably not very. Now think about someone whose word is rock solid. When they say they'll do something, you know it's as good as done. You don't have to follow up, remind them, or worry. How much do you value this person? Enormously, right? The difference between these two people isn't talent or intelligence or resources. It's integrity. It's the choice to honor commitments or not, and that choice is entirely within your control. Here's the hard truth. Every time you break your word, even in small ways, you're training yourself and others that your word doesn't mean anything. You're building a reputation as unreliable. And reliability is one of the most valuable traits you can have. So how? Do you honor your word above all else? First, be very careful what you commit to. Don't make promises you're not certain you can keep. It's far better to say, "I can't commit to that," than to commit and fail to deliver. Second, when you do commit, write it down. Track your commitments. Don't rely on memory. Have a system that ensures you follow through. Third, if circumstances genuinely prevent you from honoring a commitment, communicate proactively. Don't wait until the deadline passes. As soon as you know there's a problem, reach out, explain the situation, and work out a solution. Fourth, treat small commitments with the same seriousness as large ones. The commitment to call someone back, to send an email, to show up on time. These might seem minor, but they build your reputation. Honor the small commitments, and people will trust you with larger ones. Epictetus taught that we should not concern ourselves with what we cannot control, but we should be absolutely meticulous about what we can. Your word, your choice to commit and follow through, is entirely within your control. This is where your power lies. When you become known as someone whose word is absolute, you never have to explain your value. People will seek you out. They'll want you on their team. They'll trust you with important responsibilities. Your integrity speaks louder than any self-promotion ever could. Part 8. Improve everything you touch. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, leave it better than you found it. This simple practice, applied consistently, proves your value more powerfully than any words ever could. It's about having a mindset of continuous improvement and contribution. The Stoics believed in what they called sympathia, the interconnectedness of all things. They understood that when you improve something, you're not just benefiting that one thing. You're creating ripples that benefit everything connected to it. Think about this in practical terms. You're using a system at work and notice it could be more efficient. Instead of just complaining about it or working around it, you take initiative to improve it. You're in a shared space that's disorganized. Instead of just dealing with it, you organize it. You're given a task that's been done the same mediocre way for years. Instead of just doing it the same way, you find a better approach. These acts of improvement don't require permission. They don't require big announcements. They just require initiative, care, and follow-through. And they create enormous value. Marcus Aurelius inherited an empire with numerous problems. He could have just maintained the status quo, kept things running. Instead, he consistently worked to improve things: legal reforms, better treatment of slaves, improved military strategies. He left Rome better than he found it. You can apply this same principle at any scale, at home, at work, in your community, in every interaction. The question isn't, is this good enough? The question is, how can I make this better? Here's what's powerful about this approach. It shifts you from passive to active, from consumer to creator, from complainer to contributor. And people notice the difference. They might not consciously articulate it, but they recognize that you make things better. Start implementing this today. Look around your environment. What could be improved? What process could be streamlined? What space could be organized? What system could be enhanced? Pick one thing and improve it. Then pick another. Make this your default mode. Improve everything you touch. When you do this consistently, something remarkable happens. Your reputation spreads. People start to describe you as someone who really makes a difference, or someone who improves whatever they're involved in. You become known for creating value, not claiming it. Seneca wrote that we should make progress every day and leave the world better than we found it. This wasn't about grand gestures or sweeping changes. It was about daily, consistent improvement in everything you touch. The most valuable people aren't necessarily the most talented. They're the ones who consistently elevate everything they're part of. They're the ones who see potential for improvement and act on it. They're the ones who leave things better than they found them. Part 9. Develop quiet confidence. Quiet confidence is magnetic. It's the quality of knowing your value without needing to announce it, being secure in your abilities without needing constant validation, being comfortable with yourself without requiring external approval. The Stoics exemplified this quality. They weren't interested in impressing others or seeking approval. They were interested in being good, doing good, and letting their actions speak. This internal focus created an unshakable confidence that came from within rather than from external validation. Marcus Aurelius was arguably the most powerful man in the world, yet his private writings reveal remarkable humility and self-awareness. He didn't need to prove his worth to anyone. He knew his value came from his character and actions, not from his title or others' opinions. Quiet confidence is different from arrogance or insecurity. Arrogance needs to tell everyone how great it is. Insecurity needs constant reassurance. Quiet confidence simply is. It doesn't need to announce itself because it's self-evident. How do you develop this? First, build genuine competence. Confidence without competence is delusion, but when you know you've put in the work, when you've developed real skills and capability, confidence naturally follows. Second, stop seeking external validation. Notice when you're doing something for approval versus doing it because it's right or valuable. The more you base your sense of worth on your own standards rather than others' opinions, the more quietly confident you become. Third, accept that you're imperfect, and that's okay. Quiet. Confidence doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from knowing you're capable of handling challenges, learning from mistakes, and growing. It's confidence in your resilience, not in your perfection. Fourth, focus on contribution rather than recognition. When your focus is on creating value rather than receiving credit, you develop a different kind of confidence. You know your worth because you see the impact of your actions, regardless of whether others acknowledge it. The practice. For the next month, stop talking about your accomplishments. Don't humble brag on social media. Don't fish for compliments. Don't explain to people how hard you worked or how much you achieved. Just do excellent work and let it speak for itself. This will feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to self-promotion, but push through that discomfort. What you'll discover is that your work speaks louder without your commentary, and you'll develop a deeper confidence that comes from within, rather than from external validation. Epictetus taught that we should act well the part that is given to you. Focus on playing your role excellently, not on the applause. The applause will come, but it's not the point. The point is the excellence itself. When you develop quiet confidence, people sense it. They're drawn to it. They trust it. It communicates value in a way that loud self-promotion never can. Because genuine confidence doesn't need to announce itself. It's evident in how you carry yourself, how you handle challenges, how you interact with others. Part 10. Serve without seeking credit. The ultimate way to prove your value without words is to serve others without keeping score, without seeking credit, without needing recognition. This is perhaps the highest form of value creation because it's entirely pure. You're not serving to build your reputation. You're serving because service itself is valuable and right. The Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, wrote extensively about serving the common good. They believe that humans are inherently social creatures designed to contribute to the collective, that our highest purpose is to serve others through our unique abilities and position. But here's what they also understood. The moment you serve for recognition, you corrupt the act. You're no longer serving others. You're serving your ego. True service expects nothing in return. It finds fulfillment in the act itself, in the positive impact created, not in the credit received. Think about people who do good but constantly announce it, who volunteer but make sure everyone knows about it, who help others but keep meticulous track of what they're owed in return. Is this genuine service? Or is it transaction dressed up as virtue? Now think about people who quietly help without seeking recognition, who solve problems anonymously, who contribute without needing their name on it, who serve simply because service is right. Which creates more respect? Which demonstrates more genuine value? The practice of serving without seeking credit does something profound. It purifies your motivation and strengthens your character. You're no longer dependent on external recognition for your sense of worth. You know your value because you see the impact you create, regardless of who knows you created it. Here's how to practice this. Look for opportunities to help anonymously or without recognition. Solve a problem and don't tell anyone you solved it. Help a colleague succeed and let them take the credit. Contribute to something meaningful without putting your name on it. This goes against every instinct in our recognition-hungry culture. But that's exactly why it's powerful. In a world where everyone's screaming for attention, quiet service stands out precisely because it doesn't seek to stand out. Marcus Aurelius, as emperor, could have taken credit for everything. But his writings reveal a man who saw himself as a servant of Rome, not its master. He understood his role was to serve, to contribute, to make things better, regardless of personal recognition. Seneca wrote, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." This kindness, this service, doesn't need announcement or recognition. It simply needs to be done. And in doing it purely without seeking credit, you demonstrate the deepest form of value. When you consistently serve without seeking credit, something interesting happens. People notice anyway. Not every act, but the pattern. Your character of service becomes evident even when individual acts remain anonymous. Your reputation is built not by what you claim, but by what others observe over time. And even if no one ever notices, even if you serve in complete anonymity, you're still building something invaluable. Your own character. You're becoming the kind of person who creates value simply because it's right, not because it pays. That internal transformation is more valuable than any external recognition could ever be. This is the pinnacle of proving your value without words. When you reach the point where you're creating value consistently, excellently, reliably, without needing anyone to know you're the one doing it, that's when you've truly embodied the Stoic ideal. That's when your value becomes undeniable, not because you've proven it, but because it's woven into everything you do. In conclusion, proving your value without saying a word isn't about tricks or strategies. It's about becoming genuinely valuable and letting that value manifest naturally through your actions, your character, your contribution. It's about excellence, reliability, problem-solving, composure, listening, adding value, integrity, improvement, confidence, and service, all practiced consistently and without fanfare. The Stoics understood something that our noisy, self-promotional culture has forgotten. The most powerful reputation isn't built through words, but through consistent, excellent action. True value doesn't need announcement. It simply is, evident in everything you do and everyone you interact with. So stop telling people how valuable you are. Stop trying to convince anyone of your worth. Instead, become undeniably valuable. Master your craft. Honor your commitments, solve problems, stay composed, listen deeply, add value, keep your word, improve everything, develop quiet confidence, serve without seeking credit. Do these things consistently, and you'll never need to speak your value. It will speak itself through the impact you create, the trust you build, the contribution you make. Your actions will write your reputation in letters far more permanent than any words you could speak. This is the Stoic path. This is how you prove your value without saying a word. Not through strategy, but through character. Not through promotion, but through contribution. Not through talking, but through consistent, excellent, valuable action. The choice is yours. You can spend your energy trying to convince people of your worth, or you can spend it becoming genuinely worthy. One is exhausting and ultimately empty. The other is fulfilling and ultimately undeniable. Choose wisely. Choose action over words. Choose substance over image. Choose the Stoic path. Thank you for watching. If this message resonated with you, I encourage you to watch it again. These aren't just concepts to consume once. They're practices to internalize and live. And if you know someone who's caught in the trap of constant self-promotion, who's trying to talk their way into value instead of building it through action, share this with them. Sometimes one perspective shift can change everything. Remember, your value isn't determined by what you say about yourself. It's determined by what you consistently do when no one's watching. Prove it through silence. Prove it through action. Prove it through undeniable contribution. That's the Stoic way.